Welcome to the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life with Vicki Washington. Vicki and her guests will share their journey of the golden years and how they're creating a vibrant life. Topics will include family, fun, life, love, travel, and everything Boomer. You too can have the best of your vibrant life now. We are broadcasting from Global Voice Radio every week, and now here's your host, Vicki Washburn.
Hello, and welcome to the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. This is Vicki Washburn, your host. And today I just want to celebrate the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018. And I want to talk about a little bit of what it is like to go through the process of finding yourself and creating a new life, creating the life that you want, the life that you have been longing for, and what it is like to put those things aside that are no longer serving you. You know, when we come to that time in our life, a lot of people call it a midlife crisis. Many times that calls for us to die. There's a part of us that has to die. Sometimes the death comes without our wanting it to come. Sometimes that death comes completely as a shock. Now, when I say a death, I don't necessarily mean that a person dies, but there's a part of you that dies. Maybe that is your identity in your profession or your job because you decide to leave that profession or you get laid off. Maybe it is that part of you that is a mother on a day-to-day basis because now you are an empty nester. Maybe it is the end of a marriage, the death of a relationship. Maybe it is the death of pretense. Maybe you have reached the time in your life where you no longer want to pretend that you are something that you are not, that you are living your life in accordance with what everybody else wants, and you have decided to be heard. Maybe the death is the death of silence. Maybe the death is the death of a dream. You know, even the Bible tells us that we have to die to our former selves to walk with Christ. Death can be a very sad and troubling thing. It can also be a very liberating thing. It's all in perspective. If you see the change or the death that comes about as horrible, if you put it in your mind that you're not going to survive it, if you believe that it is the worst thing in the world that ever happened to you, it is going to be. It's going to be that very thing. You are going to be miserable. You're going to make those around you miserable. And you're going to find it very difficult to move on. But if you see this change, this death of the former, as an opportunity to start anew, just as spring comes after winter, just as the plants and the grass and the trees appear to die, but then bloom again in spring, if you see that as what is going to come out of this change, this death, then you will have a very positive and life-changing experience. Now, I know for me, this happened in 2014. My marriage ended. My husband moved out. My job appeared to end. It was a hard year. There was much of me that died. My dreams died. My relationship died. My identity died. You know, I was Mrs. Washburn. That's who I was. I was proud to be a wife. I loved being a wife. I was proud to be a mother. My children were all grown. They were gone. I was proud to be in the profession that I was in. I had worked very long and very hard. And when I started, I was one of a minority of women that was in my profession. And so I was very proud to do what I did. I had to let all of those things die. Now, my profession I'm still in. It was just a brief hiatus, and that was a good thing. I needed the time to mourn the loss of my marriage. I needed the time to shed those things that no longer served me. I needed the time to resurrect who I was and to find that person that I was so many years ago. I spent the year mourning not only the loss of my marriage, but the loss and the actual physical death of two young men who were very near and dear to my heart. They were like my children. And I had to walk through that pain and that sorrow. And I had to spend a year in mourning. But at some point, you have to pull yourself out of mourning and you have to begin again. You have to make the decision to find life again and not to live in that space of death. So in 2015, it was a time of rediscovery. Now, one of my dear friends, Kiva Leatherman, wrote a beautiful post, and it really inspired me. And she talks about the year of the caterpillar, the year of the cocoon, and the year of the butterfly. And I truly believe that 2015 was my year of the caterpillar. That 2016 was my year of the cocoon. And that 2017 and 2018 have been and are going to be my year of the butterfly. I had to let so much die. My marriage, people I loved, my ego, my need for my husband, my need for my children, my need for someone else to be there and walk with me. my uncertainty. I had to let the lies I had been telling myself die. The thing that is great about all of that is it is a shedding. It is a letting go of what no longer serves you. And sometimes God puts us through that fire, that pain, that sorrow, that shedding, so that we can, one, draw closer to Him, two, open our minds and our hearts to the voice of Spirit, and three, find ourselves again. I know that when my husband moved out, I felt so lost, so afraid. I did not know how in the world I was ever going to move forward. I did not know how I was going to put one foot in front of the other. I was so grateful that my best friend and her husband moved back to Oklahoma 3 weeks after he moved out and moved in with me. And that my house was not completely empty and quiet, and that my friend, my dear friend who had been gone from me for 20 years was now right here and could hug me every day and could love on me and could encourage me and push me when I didn't feel like putting one foot in front of the other. And she did that with great love and care for about a year. And then she started kicking my butt, which I needed. All of the things that I loved dearly seemed to be gone. But they weren't really gone. They just were changing, just as a caterpillar cocoons and eventually turns into a butterfly. Through this time, I found the voice of Spirit again. I began to find my voice again. I began to let go of anger and hurt and malice. And found a healing within me that I didn't even know existed. During this time, I was exposed to people that led me to understand that I had a gift that I had no idea I had, that I believe may have been the purpose, or at least part of the purpose, for the shedding and the letting go that I was going through. I learned that I have a calling and that I have a purpose. And as I have walked through these last few years, couple of years, that purpose has grown and evolved and been refined and is still refining. It is not something that will stop growing or stop being refined ever, probably. And I may go through more shedding. This calling may grow for a certain period, and then it may be time to shed that and time to move to another thing. You know, the thing about reaching this time of life of quote unquote midlife crisis is it is a time to reinvent, but you don't have to just do it once. You don't have to just reinvent yourself once. You don't have to wait until you're in a quote unquote midlife crisis. You can reinvent yourself at 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 60 or 80 or 100. It's all in what you want and what you feel called to do. And if you will just listen to Spirit's voice as it calls to you, then you will find that you can reinvent yourself quite easily. And it will bring you much joy. I think, we all do this to an extent. We graduate from high school and we go to college, and that's the first reinventing. We reinvent ourselves from a child to an adult, and we grow and we learn to be independent. And then we reinvent ourselves again when we become a parent. And we change from being that free-spirited college student or free-spirited young adult with no attachments to a spouse and a parent. And then we reinvent ourselves again if we decide to change careers, or when our children grow up and leave the home. We reinvent ourselves if we decide to go back to college. We reinvent ourselves if we decide to take on a project that maybe is outside of our comfort zone. I know many women that I know and have been associated with in the last couple of years and have had the pleasure and the honor of meeting and getting to know. Very few of them started out in the professions that they are in now. Very few of them started out as healers. Very few of them started out as speakers or retreat leaders or coaches. And yet here they are, walking through this time in their life. And it's probably not their first reinvention, and it probably will not be their last. The thing about reinventing yourself is that you learn new lessons. For me, I learned that I can walk alone because I'm never really alone. It may seem that I'm alone. If you see me, I may be standing alone, and yet I'm really not alone. I learned that I am way stronger than even I believed. And I've always known that I'm a strong person. I've been through a great deal in my life. I've experienced things in my life that many others have experienced too, but many others have not as well. I learned that I can take care of myself. I learned that I can take care of my home. I learned to let go of anger. I found grace, something I'm still working on. I found a renewed closeness with people very dear to me. I found who truly had my back and who didn't. That's always one of the hardest lessons to learn. I found freedom, and I found my voice. I found opportunities that I would have never imagined in a million years. I found that I loved to write again, something I did all the time when I was younger. I wrote poetry and I wrote stories and I just wrote. And I've had the pleasure and the opportunity to be part of an anthology that we are getting ready to launch the 2018 version of very shortly, called Live in Gratitude Daily. And I hope you will look for it on Amazon. It is a beautiful book that is both a journal and a devotional. I hope that you will join us on our Facebook group by the same name, Live in Gratitude Daily, where you can meet the authors as they share their daily gratitude with each of you. I have had the opportunity to be in a live coaching with Liz Gilbert, the author, someone who I loved reading her books and would have never in a million years expected that I could meet her and be in a room, a small room with her and be coached by her. I have had the opportunity in the last year and a half to meet just some of the most dynamic people that are very much walking the same path that I am walking. And some of them seem to be light years ahead of me, and yet they are right beside me. And that has been very comforting. I have found that I can fix things. One of my biggest fears was I going to be able to take care of my home by myself? My husband was such a handyman and there wasn't anything he couldn't fix. And I did not have to do those things. He did them and I did not have to. So there was a great deal of concern on my part whether I was going to be able to do that. I learned that I can fix faucets and I can fix broken doors and I can paint and I can do so many things around my home that I never imagined that I could do. I have learned that if I can't do it, I know somebody who can. I have learned that I am very self-reliant. I have learned that I am a very giving person. I have learned that I have a great deal of compassion for others. I have learned that I am not less than, that I am not unimportant, that I am not unloved. I have learned the people that make me feel that way haven't died yet. They have not died to themselves yet. They are still holding on and hurting and have not learned to let go. I have learned that I can keep going even when I don't want to. And that I have done that many, many times. I have learned that I have a voice. I have learned that I can inspire others. That I have a great deal of love to give. And that I'm ready to receive love. As I end 2017, I am letting go of yet more that no longer serves me. And I am opening up to what 2018 will bring, to opportunities, to love, to travel, to laughter, to joy, to the expansion and growth of my family, to beauty, to adventure. Oh, the adventures. One of the best things about reaching this stage of life is the opportunity for adventures. One of the best things about being untethered is the freedom to experience those adventures. The freedom to just go. What I have to do is to allow myself to do that. Is that something you need to do? Do you need to allow yourself the freedom to experience adventure? What kind of adventures do you want to experience in 2018? What kind of things have you shed in 2017? Have you been walking or living through a death? A death to a part of you? I hope that you will go to my Facebook page, My Life Redesigned, and share what it is that you have shed. Shed the things that you have died to. And share what you want your 2018 to be. Share the butterfly that you want to become. Share the vision that you have for 2018 and going forward. What you have done to reinvent yourself. How can we help you to move forward in reinventing yourself? Please, I hope you'll share. Again, that's My Life Redesigned. And this is Vicki Washburn with A Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life. I hope you all will have a very blessed 2018 and a safe holiday evening as you celebrate and ring in this
Connect
new year.
With Vicki at www.globalvoiceradio.com.
And may God bless each and every one of you.
Tune in next week for another edition of the Boomer's Guide to a Vibrant Life on Global Voice Radio, where your message and your voices are heard.